So after telling the other half, yes, I'm going to the strip club today, honey, and then explaining why, I go and I'm like, well, I can imagine how this is going to unfold, I'm sure you can by the expression on your face. And I really also didn't want to go like any server out there who's been doing this for any length of time is, you don't want to waste time and effort and money going back over and over and over and over.
Right.
So I pull up to about a half block away and I pull up the phone number for the club and I call it and some guy answers naturally. And I'm like, yeah, is so-and-so working today? She's my favorite. So I'm not going to say, hi, I have a subpoena for one of your strippers. Is she there? Because the answer is going to be no.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, yeah, she's on stage right now. I'm like, excellent. And
you're listening to Process Server Daily, the show where hustle meets strategy in the high-stakes world of process serving. From elite pros to the new servers taking massive action, these are the voices of a rising industry. Hosted by the founder of 123 Legal Support, Mighty Mike Reid. This is your backstage pass to building a profitable process serving empire. Let's get into it.
The bad guy, Michael Santos, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, Michael, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in the industry.
Well, my oldest sister was a process server who then ended up starting her own company. And when I was about 16 or so, I would go out regularly with my brother-in-law, who was also a process server, just more or less to get out of the house. And as such, he taught me the documents, what could be served in what manner, and most importantly, he taught me my navigational skills. This is back in the day before GPS, where the Thomas Brothers map books were your best friend and co-pilot. So once I turned 18, I was quite able to hit the ground running. So in effect, I've been more or less in this industry my entire adult life and for a bit before even becoming an adult.
Well, that's really cool. We all get started different places, and it's really cool to hear that it was kind of a family thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. So there's a reason why you're on the show. You got a lot going on. You've told lots of great stories in our Facebook group on Server Nation, and I really appreciate your activity in there. There's a lot of really great people in there.
Absolutely.
So tell us, what is your worst experience? Take us to that moment, your worst experience working in the field.
The one that comes to mind is years ago, I had to go serve a wage garnishment to a travel agency. And when I went in, I served the owner, who also happened to be the sister of the garnishee. I do get that from time to time, especially in smaller businesses. What made this one odd was the owner asked if she paid the sheriff's office the full judgment amount, would she have to still inform her sister, the garnishee? I told her I couldn't give her any legal advice. The law requires you to, as it states on the order, but if the judgment is satisfied in full, I can't see how anyone would have any grounds to do anything. And then I asked her why she would do that other than just helping out her sister. The owner stated that their mother had just passed away the week prior, and after the services, they were all back at the mortuary, and her father sat down and died. It was it's like his will to live just ended after his wife passed away, and he only hung on long enough to make sure she was taken care of. At the time I was serving it, they had just returned from the father's funeral. It could have been just a BS story, but the look on her face and how she reacted just had the ring of truth to it. And if I could have just shredded the order on the spot, I think I would have. I couldn't even work the rest of that day. I'm just like, all right, I'm done. I went home.
Isn't it crazy, Mike, how us as process servers, sometimes you'll get, a customer or client that'll tell you, oh, she's lying or she's this and that. But like as process servers, when you've been doing this for a while, you know if they're lying to you or not, probably 80% of the time. Would you say that's correct?
I say the longer you've been doing this, if you really, interact with people, you should be able to tell when you're being fed a line. The owner of that travel agency, it just rang true across. I mean, she was addressed for a funeral. It just, the look on her face was like she just wanted to drive off a cliff.
That's definitely a sad thing. Yeah. Whenever you go in and you're trying to, serving a notice on a single mother, or you're, those different types of situations, they definitely, what do you do? How do you deal with those? How do you sleep at night?
I tell people I sleep well at night. Sometimes I sleep well during the day too.
My wife gives me a hard time because my head hits the pillow and I'm out.
You're fortunate. Me, I need to at least an hour laying there before I'll drift.
Wow. Well, that's definitely a terrible experience. What I get from that is, this is the job as a process server. When you get out there, just do your best. I would add to your story that, and I'm sure you handled it like a professional, but I would add that when you're out there and you serve something, leave that experience not creating any more strife in that situation. It's your job to be just transparent and completely like, hey, this is your documents. Have a good day, and just leave and don't sit there. And because I got to tell you, it's one of the hardest things for me is to sit there and I want to tell them all the things they can do and you just can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
I just try to be nice to people. Being nice to someone costs you nothing.
Right. Exactly. That's good stuff. So, Michael, what do you want to get from your story?
The people you interact with, whether it be your client or who you're serving, is no one's ever happy to see you walk up to them with a clipboard. Let's be honest, more or less. They're not just a name on the documents. They're a person with feelings and real life issues, just the same as you and anyone else.
Right. That's good stuff. So, Michael, we all have those terrible experiences out there, and we all get out there and learn something, I guess, from each of them. But what is your greatest experience working in the field?
Actually, it was the most funniest is every day in this industry is a ticket to a brand new show. Because no 2 days are exactly the same. Some are funny, some are tragic. It's kind of like a soap opera is what we do. And beyond like the freedom of schedule, is I had to serve a subpoena on a stripper at a strip club. Basically, long story short, big guy beat the snot out of little guy. Little guy was suing big guy, who obviously played rat-a-tat-tat with him. And they were subpoenaing the stripper who witnessed it to appear in court. And I'm like, great. I'm going to walk up. People are going to be driving by going, pervert. And I'm like, oh, man, well, whatever. So after telling the other half, yes, I'm going to the strip club today, honey, and then explaining why, I go. And I'm like, well, I can imagine how this is going to unfold, I'm sure you can by the expression on your face. And I really also didn't want to go like any server out there who's been doing this for any length of time is, you don't want to waste time and effort and money going back over and over and over and over.
Right.
So I pull up to about a half block away. And I pull up the phone number for the club and I call it, and some guy answers naturally. And I'm like, yeah, is so-and-so working today? She's my favorite. So I'm not going to say, hi, I have a subpoena for one of your strippers. Is she there? Because the answer is going to be no.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh yeah, she's on stage right now. I'm like, excellent. And, hung up and walked to the door, and guy there working the cover charge or whatever the hell it is. I asked for her. It's like, oh, she's not working today. I'm like, don't lie to me. I recognize your voice. I just spoke to you like a minute ago. You said she was here because she's my favorite. And the look on his face was priceless. And he just played song and dance and was like, well, you need to deal with her on her own time. I'm like, no, I'm dealing with her now. We can do this either one of two ways, the easy way or the hard way. But one way or another, we will be doing this. Dog with the bone mentality. And he's like, well, what's the easy way? I'm like, you have her come up here dressed at least in something suitable for the beach. I take 30 seconds of her time, and I'm a memory. The hard way is I put a civil call into the sheriff's dispatch for a civil standby. It's middle of the week, 6 o'clock, probably not a whole lot going on. Entertainment's where you find it. Do you really want the front of your establishment to look like a first responders convention? Because your customers coming here are going to see 2, 3, maybe even 4 sheriff's patrol cars here, or city cops, whichever responds. And they're going to keep on trucking. And how much do you charge per person to come into your club? When it comes down to the end game of it, it's all about the dollars and cents. She came up, I served her, I left.
That's definitely a cool experience. Whenever you get, what's funny is I've heard all these stories about people serving people in strip clubs. I never get to serve people in strip clubs.
And that's probably why you're still happily married.
Yeah. Probably. Well, that's cool. That's a fun experience. And it's a really good way that the way that you handled it was definitely was definitely very tactful. This guy, a lot of times their perceived authority being, I'm the strong man in front of the door. You got to pay me. You got to go through me to get inside. Now, it would have been interesting, though, if he would have let you come inside. You know what I'm saying? Like, how would you have served it? Like, if she was on stage, would you have waited for her to come off stage, or would you have just thrown it onto the stage?
No, I mean, even when I get someone who's being, for lack of a better word, hard ass with me, I keep my professionalism.
Yeah.
That's what separates me from others.
That's good stuff. So tell me, Michael, that is a really cool story, and the way that you handled it was definitely professional. What are you working on right now that has you most fired up, most excited?
Well, for 26 years, I served in California, and 2 years ago this month, I relocated up to Salem, Oregon. And in a way, I'm basically on the Oregon side of it, starting from scratch. Trying to build a name, build my little empire as far as my spectrum of the industry, and it's been interesting seeing the night and day difference between California and Oregon. I never thought I would ever say I miss the California court system, but I truly do. The Oregon court system is circa about 1850.
What would you say is the biggest difference between Oregon and California?
There's no registration or licensing required in the state of Oregon. So basically anyone 18 and over and not a party to it who's a resident of the state can serve, which translates to a lot of sewer services, in my opinion. The code sections up here are so vague, it's like trying to read IKEA installation instructions at 3 a.m. while you're drunk and standing on your head. It's, at least the CCP in California is very cut and dry. A lay person can read it and understand it. Here it is so vague and all over the place. It is just, we have the Oregon State Conferences for our service association here is coming up in a little less than 2 weeks, and I'm planning to attend it. And talking with the association president, we're going to try and drag the industry here in Oregon into the 21st century.
That's awesome. I got to tell you, the associations, if you could get on board with some associations, you could really make a difference,
It's going to be a fight here because there's powers that be in this state in our industry who are totally anti-change. For example, actually the biggest difference between like California and here that I've noticed is there's no trespass exclusion for servers up here. If you cross a no trespassing sign to serve an order, you could be arrested.
Oh, wow.
And some of the larger companies here don't want that to change because they want, talking to one, which without naming anybody, is, well, if there's a no trespassing sign, take a picture of it, we'll send it back to the client, and we'll bill them for the attempt, and then they have to find another way for us to go serve, and then we get to bill them again. And I'm like, well, speaking economically, I can understand that mentality, but in my experience, that's just not good service.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good service to your client.
Well, and everybody, you up in Oregon, I'm up in Northern California, and everybody has a no trespassing sign.
Yeah,
everybody, like
exactly.
What are you supposed to do? I mean, if I get it, if there's a gate, maybe if there was a gate with no trespassing and you literally had to jump the fence, that's a different story. But if you have like an open drive and you can just drive on through, but there's no trespassing signs on all the trees and stuff as you're going, what do you do?
Well, every apartment complex, every manufactured home park has no trespassing signs on it. It's just unreal. And what's one of the other changes here in Oregon, unlike California, where if a company has a registered agent for service, it's an option. You can still go serve it wherever. Under Oregon law, if they have a registered agent for service with the Secretary of State, that is the only place you can serve it. So like if I had a summons for Nike and went up to their corporate office outside of Portland and put it directly into the hands of the CEO, if their agent for service is located somewhere else, that service is invalid.
Wow. So if it's a defunct court, so like what I get a lot is it's a suspended registration with the Secretary of State. So then
it'd be good anywhere.
Right. And you can do it anywhere. But in Oregon, you're saying if it was suspended or anything, then you're out of luck.
Well, no, if it's my understanding if it's a suspended or dissolved, then you can do anywhere. But if it's an active LLC or corporation, and say, because in Oregon, CT Corp, Corporation Service Company, National Registered Agents, they're all located here in Salem. But if I go, but there are companies that I have had to serve where the agent for service is the owner's house way out in Timbuktu. Hence you make a left turn at the Salmon Run, make a right turn at Bigfoot, and keep an eye open for Lewis and Clark, and then pray the Air Force airdrops in supplies so you can make it back to civilization. Is, the interesting dilemma is, what if the agent for service has their home address out in whatever, residential area, but then has a no trespassing sign up? Law says I can only serve it there, but if I cross that, I can be arrested.
Wow. Well, that is definitely something worth being excited about, setting up becoming a part of the association and setting up your Oregon business up there. I definitely want to, continue our communication about that and things, and see how I can help. We're definitely building an empire with Server Nation as far as taking the views of all, taking the Google views from the big companies and trying to give them to the smaller companies, and it's just a simple matter of SEO building and, the different marketing techniques with like Facebook ads, Google ads. And we have our Server Nation blog team now that's been blogging like crazy. And so here next month, you're going to start seeing a new blog come out each week. And so you start to do these types of things with your state association, like NAPS is doing, and CalSPRO's doing a pretty good job. You start doing those things, and you'll see a huge impact. Everyone will start going to that website to be able to hire Oregon process servers. And if you end up being the president or something like that, it definitely gives you a lot of clout, a lot of ability to make a difference in that state.
One of my friends in the industry, who used to be a president of CalPros or CAPS, whatever they're calling themselves this month. I was discussing with him regarding how far do I want to push it, because I'm new to this area, so by some I could probably be seen as the now I don't even know how to term it, just that I don't want to come across as pushy into a new area. But he's like, Mike, you're going to wind up running that association in a few years. He's like, because I know you're going to say, okay, this needs to be changed. The era of complacency is over. And I'm like, please don't say that. Please don't say that. It's like, I don't have enough on my plate as it is.
Well, now there's two guys that have said it, so you better just suit up.
It's like, they want to grow their membership, but you need to be association, and especially in this industry, needs to be proactive, not reactive.
Hey, quick break from the episode to tell you about something that's changing the game for process servers across the country. It's called Mighty Process Servers. And yeah, you can join absolutely free. Inside, you'll get full access to every course, every download, and the educational tools that we use to help process servers build profitable companies. We meet every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern for our live Mighty Mastermind call. Come join the conversation. You can connect with other professionals, post on the discussion board, direct message members, and become part of one of the most engaged communities for process servers. Don't wait. Go to mightyprocessserver.com and join today. Those who get verified get listed and start bidding on jobs same day. Now, let's get back to the show.
Michael, are you ready for the rapid fire round?
Always.
What is your favorite skip trace tactic?
For online, I use IRB search, or I guess I should say it's now Delft Point. If I'm in the field, I talk to neighbors, co-residents. I pay attention. If I'm serving someone who just relocated from another state and the car in the driveway has that state's plate on it, it's a clue.
That's good stuff. Whenever you do an attempt, I've actually adopted that as a regular thing. If it's a no answer and there's a car in the driveway, I'm getting the license plate and I'm sending it to my client. And if it's one of the attorney clients, then I'm skipping it when I get back to the office and to verify that address. Especially if the person tells you it's a bad address. Mm-hmm. That's good stuff. What is your favorite tool for defense?
Well, if you're talking hardware, my typical Copilot is either Sig Sauer or H&K. It just depends on where I'm going. One thing I have adopted since I've relocated to Oregon is when I do residential serves, I do wear a body cam.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, body cam. Being able to have that is, in the case that something bad happens, you're going to have proof, and that's powerful.
Well, the worst case for me, what made me decide to go that route, is up here in Oregon, especially, firearms are everywhere. More so, you drive through town, it's like Salem being the state capital, it's like gun store, pot store, strip club, gun store, pot store, strip club, gun store, pot store, strip club. Not necessarily in that order, but I mean, it just, it's very prevalent throughout the area. It's a very liberal state politic-wise, but if Portland and Eugene fell into the ocean, the state would be as red as Texas. And my biggest fear when I go to a residence, especially someplace rural, is if they pull a weapon, forcing me to pull mine. Naturally, if mine comes clear of its holster, police are getting called whether a shot's fired or not on either side. And if the police come, I'm still going to be obviously armed because I'm there. They're going to naturally put theirs away and make up some BS story that I came in threatening them or whatever, in which case then I'm the suspect and the table's turned. And I want to go, officer, would you like to see what occurred in 1080 HD?
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Without that, it's he said, she said. In that case, you're already toast in the court of public opinion as far as the officer is concerned.
Yeah, so it's interesting though that you mentioned that as a tool for defense, because it really is a defense mechanism. Like the way you're describing it is like, if you don't have some kind of a recording of the situation, then you pull a gun. And I like to go, Michael, I like to go with the levels of defense. And so I have my tactical hand to hand. First of all, my verbal, right? Trying to handle it with my verbal defense, trying to downplay the situation, talk them down. But if that doesn't work, hand to hand, then you got your taser, then you got your gun, then you got, and I like having that because every situation is going to be a little bit different. And I haven't had a camera. I just now ordered an Oakley, so I'm going to see if that is worth the money. And if it is, I'm going to start having that instead of recording with my phone. I have been taking my phone and putting it on the back of my clipboard, facing forward, and I walk up with my clipboard kind of sideways, But the whole time my phone is recording, and it's actually worked out pretty well for me. People don't. Some people look a little suspicious, like, why is your phone on the back of your clipboard, in your hand the way I'm holding it, But I could see that being really valuable. So thank you for sharing.
What I actually did is I bought one off Amazon from the manufacturer's called Safe Vant. And they had a 32 and a 64 gig model. And I bought the 64 gig model. It was like $175. And it had a humongous clip on it. I mean, the clip was solid. It was actually cutting the material of my shirt. So I bought one of the little leather badge holders that you hang around your neck and clipped it to that. And it's incredibly obvious, and it has solved problems. I mean, I've served foreclosures, and people have thanked me and shook my hand, and after they've looked at the camera like half a dozen times, they go from like eye to eye to camera because I have it just hanging right around the chest. So it's also very obvious that you're recording,
right? Which you want with the different laws, yeah,
exactly. And then each night I plug it in, and it date and time stamps the whole thing, and I just port the footage over to the computer each night, and then once I fill up enough for a disk, I burn it to a disk, and it goes up on a shelf.
Very cool. Definitely want to have a process so that it doesn't become cumbersome.
It's a few minutes of your day that just is an insurance policy. I mean, in 28 years, I've never had to pull a firearm on anybody, and I strongly hope to keep that streak alive. But when the game's over, it's like I plan to be vertical at the end of the day, and there's areas that I go to that you're not at the top of the food chain either. So, you may not have cell reception, and the only one you can truly depend upon to defend yourself is yourself.
Right. So Michael, what do you use to track your serves? What's your favorite software?
The software I'm using now, I just switched actually a few months ago to Windsurf from TriStar. I've been very pleased with them.
Oh, yeah.
Their service is just beyond compare. Any issue I've had, obviously, with fine tuning a new software package, they've just been all over it, and their mentality is kind of mirrors my work ethic. It's, what can I do? What do you need? Very
good. Yeah. TriStar definitely has a decent program. They have an app that you can use that doesn't require internet signal. So that's one of my favorite things about TriStar, and all the settings. There's probably 1,000,001 settings in there to switch things up. So that's great. So what book would you recommend?
I like Tom Clancy. I've always been a Tom Clancy fan. I mean, my reading habits cross a whole variety of the spectrum. I grew up playing Dungeons and Dragons as a kid, and like the R.A. Salvatore books. If you were to look at my bookcase, you'd probably find multiple shelves on history, especially World War II. But I'd have to say Tom Clancy's my favorite. To pick a specific book, it would be Without Remorse. It's one I would love to see them make into a movie, although it'll probably never happen. But that book could also be used as a textbook for interrogation.
Nice. That's awesome. What is the greatest advice you've ever received?
Just be honest. First time and every time. If you screw up, own it.
Good stuff. What would you do if you woke up tomorrow with all the same skills and knowledge, but you didn't know anybody and only had $100, a smartphone, and a car? How would you regrow your business? I guess you're kind of doing that right now with Oregon, huh?
Exactly. I would print some business cards at home and start canvassing the local law firms, collection agencies, property management companies, and so on. Call any of the other process serving companies in the area to see who needed a subcontractor. And like you said, in a way, other than the $100 part, I pretty much am doing that again right now.
That's good stuff. It is nice to be able to build it on the back of another business that's producing revenue.
Yep.
That's awesome. So you mentioned the cards and going in. So that's, to me, that's like pounding the pavement, going out there. What is your absolute favorite trick? Just to drive it in a little bit deeper. What's your favorite tactic for getting a new customer?
It's just, there's no real one specific way. I mean, you talk to people.
Okay.
One thing I've told people when they do their advertising, they mail it to the attorney's office, or they try to get the attention of the attorney themselves. And I'm like, you're wasting your time unless it's a small little office where he's, not only the attorney, but the chief bottle washer as well. Is the people you want to target are the paralegals and the legal secretaries, because they're the ones who make things happen. They're also the people you don't want to irritate at the law firm, because they will make your life miserable, and they'll, they're the ones who run it. If you think of it like a military unit, who really gets things done, the lieutenant or the NCOs? Right.
It's the busy bees that are running around getting things done.
Yep.
Very good. So, Mike, I appreciate that. And before we close it out here, what is your parting piece of advice for Server Nation?
As far as the skill sets or skills to develop, I would say the two biggest skills a server need is know your navigational skills. Don't be just relying on GPS, because anything electronic can break. Learn how to get from point A to point B to point C without backtracking, and know the area you operate in. The second part would be learn how to talk with people and not at them. There is a distinct difference. Treat them the way you want to be treated, and that'll solve a lot of your problems before they escalate.
That's wonderful. What is the best way we can connect with you? And then we'll say goodbye.
Our website is www.superiorprocessservers.net. It lists our services and our contact information. And you can find me on Server Nation, obviously.
Yep, we're on there chatting it up, having a good time every day. It's actually grown to be over 1,000 members, and most of them are pretty active. We have probably at least 50% active rate on the Facebook group, and I just can't. I mean, you can't find that in any other industry. You'd have to pay for that kind of support that you're getting that we get at Server Nation.
It's one of the first stops I do when I get up and I go online before I head out and about. And I've talked to a few, people outside of there, on the phone or through Messenger, and thrown out some tidbits and suggestions on how to do things. Lori Ford comes to mind on that one out in St. Louis, as she was trying to grow her business, and made some suggestions on how to pursue it. And because I don't mind sharing tidbits as long as you're not right next door to me.
Yeah, that's an interesting dynamic, sharing, you love to share with everybody. And that's one of the reasons why Server Nation is so great, is it's, where it's all across the nation. You're not competing with the guy in your backyard, but it does become kind of interesting when you start communicating on Server Nation with someone who's in your backyard. It becomes kind of a, dang, he found my secret tool, this Facebook group where I can network with all these people. And it's really cool. And I'm really excited that we created this servernation.us for the Facebook group to kind of have an actual website place. And then now with the blogging group, they're starting to actually share their ideas freely on this website, on this platform, which is ultimately going to result in more Google traffic and a lot of the same stuff we have going on in the group, the different communications and reviewing each other and sending each other work. It's pretty cool.
One of the suggestions I gave her that she was actually surprised by, and her husband was actually against it, but then warmed up, is because I guess she was doing mostly subcontract work for other companies and wanted to kind of grow her own client base. And I said, send out your flyers and, put a little coupon sort of offer on the flyer for new customers only. Send us 5 local serves, get 1 free.
That's good.
It's like her husband was initially like, well, that's giving away a serve. I'm like, no, that's getting your foot in the door.
That's right. Taking these different opportunities to be able to get new business is definitely a help. Well, Michael, I want to personally thank you for being on the show. I've been impressed with everything you have going on, all your stories, and the idea that you picked up from California and keep your business going there, and you're starting a new business in Oregon. It's only done by a few others that I've known so far since I've been in this industry, and so I commend you for that. I'm excited to share your story with the world, and thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely. It's been a blast.
So until next time.
That's a wrap on another episode of Process Server Daily, where the legal support industry levels up. Want to grow your process serving business with the best marketing tools, the most engaged community, and the highest ranking directory online? Visit mightyprocessserver.com. Claim your listing. Join our free community. Surround yourself with process servers who get it and build something real. From the field to the courtroom, this is Process Server Daily. Until next time, stay safe out there and live mighty.